When it comes to finding and attracting love into our lives, sometimes we are our worst enemies. So there are 4 things that I would love for you to let go of so that you can easily and effortlessly attract love into your life in the coming year. Let's discover what these 4 things are right now. Okay, so the first thing you want to avoid is valuing your expectations over truly connecting. Now, I know that the subconscious feeling here is that by having these expectations towards men, we are upholding our standards, as if these standards somehow allow us to be more competitive in the dating market. But what expectations actually do to our dating prospects is the opposite. What expectations do for you is they allow you to feel like you're in control. But your expectations are nothing to do with the level of connection and rapport that you create with men. If you can't inspire any connection with men because you are going into first dates with this expectation that he must treat you to a meal rather than taking you on a coffee date or a walk in the park, what you're doing is you are sabotaging your ability to have an actual long-term relationship with men. In order to build rapport and have a real relationship with men, you need to value connection before expectations. There's this popular concept and idea out there that if you have high standards, that makes you high value. Well, it's the opposite. Standards are things that we should have for ourselves to raise our own value. Standards are not things that we have for men. Those are expectations. If you lead with your expectations, if you throw your expectations out in front of men right from the start, what you have then is a man who has to feel and process the effects of those expectations. Now, if you had any kind of empathy at all, what would you say that men would feel about those expectations? Let's say you've met a high value guy through online dating and he suggests a coffee date, and instantly you feel that anger and resentment in your body because you've had bad experiences with men in the past. Seemingly that's understandable, right? But it's also completely uncalibrated to the man that you're currently having a conversation with. It's totally irrelevant to him. You could have a high value man who is smart and who has self-preservation in mind, who simply wants to go on a coffee date or go for a walk in the park to see if there's any rapport to begin with. And I don't know about you, but I've never known a genuine woman, someone who attracts men and relationships easily into their life, who wasn't happy with starting with a walk in the park. Here's why. It's because if you are genuinely looking for connection with a man, if you really want to feel that feeling of emotional connection and you want to build a quality relationship right from the start rather than just being a leech or a value extractor, you want that walk in the park. That excites you. You want to have that opportunity to emotionally bond with the guy without the pressure of a dinner date. Now, this is not to say that you can't go on a dinner date for date 2. This is not even to say that you can't go on a dinner date for date 1. If that feels natural, if that feels right to you and you're a connection-oriented woman, go for it. What I'm saying is that you leading with these expectations is shooting yourself in the foot. So if you will allow me, I'd love to invite you to take part in a little exercise in empathy with me. Let's just for a moment imagine that we're a smart, resourceful, and intelligent high-value man who's looking to date a nice woman. Now, this intelligent, high-value man has 2 women to choose from. The first woman is upset at him when he suggests a walk in the park or a coffee date. She's angry because she's had so many bad experiences with low-effort men in the past that she's making him pay for it by passive-aggressively saying, well, I expect more than that. I expect a dinner date. I expect a 3-course meal. Contrast that option with a woman who leads with her playfulness, a woman who truly values the emotional connection and emotional attraction. Now, back to our empathy exercise. Which type of woman would feel high value to you? Which type of woman would you gravitate towards? And which type of woman would naturally have men hanging off her? What do you think? I don't want to put words in your mouth because at the end of the day, I'm just sharing my perspective. I'm sharing what I have found works through my 15 years of helping women attract and keep high-value men whom are emotionally committed to them. Now, I know there are women out there who are going to say,
yeah, but a real man doesn't take us on coffee dates.
Real high-value men will not make me go for a walk in the park on the first date.
Real high-value
man won't expect me to be okay with just a coffee.
This is what men have to be like. If they're not like that, then they're not real. But there are lots of different types of real men out there. Sure, it's great if you can meet a man who doesn't believe in women paying for anything, who doesn't believe in women working, who doesn't believe that women should be doing anything tough or experiencing any kind of discomfort in life. And I know that because I've experienced that with my husband. But what matters here, for you to get real results in the coming year, for you to actually be able to effortlessly and easily attract love into your life, you need to learn how to lead with connection, not with expectations. Because at the end of the day, expectations hold no mystery, they hold no value. They are also certainly not a substitute for skills in understanding and relating to men. Of course, the worse your past experiences with men, the harder it is going to be for you to absorb and accept what I'm saying. And look, I understand when you've tolerated and put up with toxicity in men for way too long, it takes away a huge chunk of your innocence, especially as you get older. And without that sense of innocence, what you have is this backlog of anger that's become resentment, and it just seeps out in all of your interactions. But any man out there who is worth your time is not going to be dumb enough to risk his emotional, mental, and financial resources on a woman who is full of expectations, and on a woman whose expectations are up here and her ability to connect is down here. Okay, number 2 is falling in love with fantasies that are born of lack. Look, if you're a woman watching this who's been single for quite a long time, then there's a good chance that along the way, as you've had disappointing experiences, that you've lost a little hope. And that loss of hope has probably made you question yourself and question men. Give anyone, even the highest value mates out there, enough poor quality experiences with the opposite sex, and you'll have doubts. You'll have a loss of hope. You'll have even depression. And what tends to happen when you're single and having to process all these disappointments alone, without the guidance and the help of someone who truly cares about you and wants the best for you, is that it becomes really easy to latch onto bad ideas and fantasies that come from lack. So what I've found through working with so many single women over the last decade and a half is that single women tend to have a lot of single friends. And when you get together with your single friends, you're not offered that perspective of the woman who is married for a couple of decades and who is still madly in love with her husband and he with her. Single women who have had enough disappointments, who are left to process those disappointments without the healthy balance of the other perspective, tend to latch onto fantasies about what men should be for women. Now, there is value in fantasy. Fantasy can give us a real sense of hope, right? And so these fantasies might make you feel like that's the solution. Maybe you'll start to feel like, I haven't expected enough from men. I've sold myself short. I'm only going to settle for a man who does this, and that for me in the future because I want the best for myself. Also, fantasies can help you pass the time. But here's the dangerous part of having fantasies and holding on to those fantasies that are born of lack. It's that the only people who can truly even come close to fulfilling those fantasies for you are the narcissists out there. It's the narcissistic men who will make you those grand promises. Because let me tell you, any genuine, authentic, experienced, and securely attached man out there will be honest enough to know not to lead you on with false fantasies. Because every man is a real human being with real mistakes and flaws, and every real man is an aging organism. He can't look perfect and be perfect forever. Also, he can't solve every problem perfectly for you. So fantasies tend to be this idea of perfection that we hold on to because the real world is tough. Now, the longer you've been single and the longer you've had to spend without real quality relationships around you, the more value you're going to place in someone who shows up as this fantasy that you have. So what tends to happen then is that you become far more willing to experience this fantasy through false promises that a narcissistic man can offer you in the short term at the expense of real long-term quality relationships with men. Okay, moving on to number 3, a half-baked effort into dating apps. Now, pretty much every woman I work with has said to me, but I hate dating apps. And of course you do. Anybody would if they've gone into dating apps with the wrong strategy. Dating apps are inherently superficial. Does that mean we should assume that dating apps are not worth the effort? Well, no. Almost everyone knows someone who's met their lifelong lover on a dating app. Dating apps have amazing power for you as a woman if you do it the right way. But what I found is that most women completely half-ass their dating profile. Why do we half-ass it? Because we assume that men don't read it. We assume men don't care. We assume men aren't interested in your dating profile. That's BS. High-value men love to read a playful, high-value profile that stands out from the rest. And because of this half-assed dating profile, they attract poor quality conversations with men. And not only poor quality conversations, they attract low-value men in the first place. And of course, these terrible experiences, these negative experiences that we have on these dating apps tend to compound, and they make us resent and vehemently avoid dating apps. But if we just led with the right attitude and the right approach to begin with, we would have had a much better experience. So what my husband and I have done over the years is that we've come up with this concept of high-value banter. What does high-value banter do for you? Number one, it helps you weed out the low-effort, toxic narcissists quickly. Because low-effort men, toxic manipulative men, are not there on dating apps with an intent to emotionally connect with you and attune to you. And high-value banter, when you use it, will easily weed those men out because they aren't able to respond and reciprocate your banter. And the second thing high-value banter allows you to do is it allows you to build emotional attraction. So if you want to try out high-value banter, go to highvaluebanter.com. And my husband has given plenty of free examples that you can use today to create conversation momentum with the high-value guys and eliminate the low-effort narcissistic men. Literally every woman out there is saying, I'm a fun-loving woman who loves to travel on their dating profile. Not only that, but most women out there are leading with their expectations on their dating profile. They're writing boring things on their profile and things that would literally repel even the highest value men who would emotionally commit to you. For example, I'm only interested in something serious. As a woman, I can totally relate to that. It's intuitive to me too to say things like that. But how much value does it bring to your dating profile? That's the question. And how much would that kind of statement on your dating profile allow you to attract a high-value man who wants to talk to you, who's truly happy to interact with you, who's inspired to ask you out super quickly? So here's what I recommend you do with your dating profile if you want to emotionally connect with men and attract love easily and effortlessly into your life in the coming year. Lead with playfulness. Here's a perfect example that I absolutely love from a woman. And it's a great example of not being boring and leading in a high-value way with real playfulness. Her dating profile says, scroll to the last image to see my face without makeup. And the photo she puts is of Yoda from Star Wars. How cute and playful is that? Isn't that a more refreshing, uplifting, and high-value way to attract high-value men who are worth your time? So if you're burnt out by dating apps, I get it, I understand. But I want to remind you that dating apps are not there to hurt you. They can be a valuable resource for you and your love life if you have the right approach. So in the future, there are two things I want you to do. Number one is stop half-assing your dating profile. Change your profile up a bit with the intention of leading with playfulness. This will allow you to stand out and put you on the right path in the coming year to attract real love into your life. And number two, try out high-value banter. There's plenty of free examples in my husband's high-value banter class. With high-value banter, you can create that conversation momentum and more importantly, have amazing interactions and have so much more fun dating online. You know, when my husband first created his program, High Value Profile and Banter, there were a lot of women who were skeptical. They were like, why would banter work? But there was a few courageous members out there who decided to give it a try because the way they've been approaching dating apps hadn't been working for them. And all that approach had done for them was make them feel a lack of hope in their love life. When they took these high-value banter examples and they used them, here's what happened. They started having so much more fun. And they started to let go of their expectations of men naturally because they were having so much enjoyment in talking to men. And in that process, they became higher value themselves. Okay, and the fourth and last thing you want to avoid if you want to easily and effortlessly attract love into your life in the coming year is hanging on to envious friends. Now, this is one that may not be as obvious to you, but I think we all can relate to this subconscious feeling of having this one or two friends who we sense that they don't have our best interests at heart, who sense that if we were to do well, they would not be happy for us. Those are the friends who will only bring you down and stop you from attracting the right men into your life. These are the friends who are so envious of any real positive interaction that you have with men and any good relationship that they will facilitate you having negative stories that sabotage your efforts in dating. They will be happy to see you fail, and they will be happy to see you have poor quality interactions with men that only make you feel worse. Envious friends are that silent saboteur in our love life that we often ignore. Because look, most people don't have a plethora of amazing friends. And so we tend to want to hold on to those long-time friends that we've known for a while, or even those friends that we may not have known for a while, but those friends who seem good enough that we enjoy spending time with them, but they aren't bad enough that we want to kick them to the curb. But here's one thing I've learned in my life, and that is that most friends are not that great, especially those single friends who have had really bad toxic experiences with men, and they want you to join them in their misery.
In their misery. In their misery.
In fact, if anything, you need to make friends with those women who are in those types of relationships that you secretly envy. Now, I don't say that so that you can go into these friendships to bring those women down. I say this because I want you to challenge yourself. I want you to aim for more. I want you to believe in love. I want you to believe that there are good men out there, because there are. Experts tell us that there are two types of envy: malicious envy and benign envy. Now, you may think that benign envy doesn't really have a negative effect in your relationships. But here's the thing. If you had a friend who felt benign envy towards you and any successes that you had in your life, that friend would have either had the courtesy to distance themselves from you, or they would have already shown you that they're super happy for you. They wouldn't have let their envy bring you down and sabotage the quality of your friendship and connection. They would have somehow used their envy to bring greater connection and trust in your friendship. And those aren't the kinds of friends that you'd want to get rid of anyway, right? But it's those friends who feel malicious envy, who would rather see you suffer, and who would rather take away from what you have than add to what you have. Those are the friends that you must get rid of, because they're holding you back. They're deliberately holding you down. They don't want you to have love. They want you to suffer with them. You know that famous saying, misery loves company. And because I've worked with single women for so long, I've discovered that since their married friends with children may have become more distant from them over time, what they're left with is a lot of single friends. And what happens in these circles with a lot of single women is that it's much cooler to resonate with each other's resentment and anger over men than it is to bring each other up. It just becomes uncool to suggest that there is hope out there, to have empathy for men and to try to meet men where they're at. It takes a really courageous single friend to say to you, hey, maybe the key is to lead with your understanding of men. Maybe men aren't all that different to us. Maybe they want to have great relationships too. And it's okay for us to facilitate that process in high value ways. So here's a question you can ask yourself to help you identify whether you have envious friends who are dragging you down. How would this friend feel if I were to suddenly attract and connect with a high value man who wants to emotionally commit to me and treat me like a princess? How would this friend feel if a high value man were to put a ring on it within 6 months of meeting me? And how would this friend respond to her feelings? Because remember, it's not the envy that our friends feel that is inherently bad for our friendship with them. It's how they respond to that envy. It's how self-aware they really are, and how willing are they to value the friendship over their envy. Because if you're surrounded by envious friends, let me tell you this, they are much happier to stay small as a person and to keep you small, because it's harder to be the bigger person and to use your envy positively than it is to stay small and to shrink the amount of envy that you feel. Because envy is a very painful emotion. And there aren't that many friends out there who are even willing to acknowledge their feelings of envy right from the start, but also choose to use that envy to serve their friendships and serve their life. So I know I'm setting the bar for friendships kind of high here, but I'm not going to apologize for that, because here's what I know. A great relationship with a high value man is only going to magnify the love, the joy, the fulfillment, and the passion you can experience in this lifetime. And I don't want you to miss out on that juice just because you have a small-minded friend who wants to keep you small. So here's a question to you. Is that friendship with that envious friend worth more to you than your future with a high value man who is emotionally committed to you and emotionally attracted to you? I can't make that decision for you. All I can do is try to lead you down the right path and offer you a different perspective. But I trust that you're going to make the best decision for yourself. Because at the end of the day, we don't all have a lifetime to find love. And envious friends are not only going to make you waste more of your precious life away, they're going to make you regret spending so much time tolerating them. So if you'd like to learn more about envy, like the signs someone envies you and how to deal with envious people, I have 2 very detailed articles in my archives at thefemininewoman.com. You can go there. I have almost 300 articles on dating, relationships, and friendships even. You can go there and learn more about not only how to understand men or deal with envious people, but how to foster and create emotional connection and emotional attraction with men. So which one of these 4 things do you think you need to stop immediately in order to attract love into your life in the coming year? I love hearing from you, and I love hearing your stories. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Wait, before you go, imagine 3 magical words so powerful that it got my coaching client's boyfriend to propose to her within 7 days. Yup, it's all in this book. Click the link on the screen to learn more.